Good evening, Rian Kutsia here from Fortis Proactive Defense Solutions in Pretoria. We are talking to Francois Leroux, and in this video we will be discussing very specifically, again, about basic firearms training courses. How do I go about choosing a course that suits my needs? Francois, welcome again. Thank you. All right. Francois is one of the trainers on the Lone Operator Program. He's been involved in the Lone Operator Program since the very first course back in 2020, and he just never stopped, which I suppose says something about the course, right? Francois, so how do I go about choosing a course that suits my needs with my new firearm?
Yeah, so Rian, on that, it feels very difficult for most people. They are so overwhelmed by everything out there and where they want to be. Everybody just looks at the goalpost of being this proper operator and everything, but it's simple. Just start with, where do I need to start first? Where do I struggle? Or where's that niche, that little pit that I need to just start building that blocks just to get myself up there. So the easiest is always to start just asking your friends, checking around. Where did you do your proficiency? Ask them. Gun shop where you bought your firearm. Start asking them, do they know about courses? What do the courses offer? Most of the instructors are very nice. If you mail them or you call them and ask them, listen, what are you going to cover? So it doesn't help if you've just gotten your firearm, you're now going to go do a advanced tactical CQB course for 2 weeks in the middle of nowhere. So yeah, that's not going to help, but then they can always refer you to someone else that say, okay, but we've got these people that do this, or those guys that do that, and just start picking up like the little bits and the little bits here, and just start that building blocks.
Okay, so basically you need to think about what you want from a course. Do I just want to shoot better? Do I want to be able to handle my firearm better? Do I want to do all of that? And then look at what people offer and do some research on them. Do check out their Facebook pages, check out the videos, check out their websites, ask around about them. You know, if it's close enough, go see the guys, talk to them, contact them, phone them, get an idea of what you're letting yourself in for, because I think at the end of the day, that part is important.
Definitely.
Okay, so if I do a training course now related to a firearm like this now, it's a firearms training course. Can I do it if I don't own a gun yet?
Yeah, there is most places can borrow you a firearm, where you can do it with their firearm. So that is definitely a possibility. That's why it's always good to talk to them and ask them and tell them, where are you? Are you busy with your application? You're still waiting for it from SAPS, or you're unsure of your firearm. So even if you get someone and you can ask them, okay, listen, I don't know what I want. Everybody tells me to buy this or buy that firearm. So then what do you have? And can I shoot with a few different ones? And that's going to immediately give you that wide variety, what feels comfortable to you and what works better for you, especially if it comes to concealment and all of that stuff when you want to everyday carry. So yeah, so it's good to just ask the people. Instructors know, they've been through this, they've had multiple students across their training platform, so they do know what they're talking about.
So would you say then there are advantages to it as well as potential disadvantages? Advantages, like you just said, you can get the opportunity this way to shoot with different firearms, which will give you a better idea of what you prefer if you want to go and buy. And then potential disadvantages, you're not working with your own gun as yet.
Yes, definitely. Also, that's one of the bigger disadvantages. You're not working with your firearm. So the training is going to, yes, it's going to mostly apply, but the feel is going to be different. It's a firearm feels different. It's like, mine's all got names. So mine is like kids to me. Everyone feels different, reacts different, works a little bit different. I've got two of the same pistols that I use for training and one for self-defense, and they both got their own niches. They're completely different. They're the same firearm in theory, but in difference, they're not. Of practicality, they're not. So it is ideal to do a training course. But if you're still experimenting, then do a course with someone else's firearm. It's not an issue. You can even borrow a friend's one if it's already kind of something you want, as long as that person also always accompanies you, follow the rule of law. So yeah, it's got its best ideally with your own.
Yeah. So you can't borrow the friend's gun and take it from his house to the range and shoot with it, and he sits at home watching the rugby. That's a no-no.
Yeah, unfortunately, the old rules no longer apply to that.
Yes. Okay. So if I do a firearms course, I'm starting with this basic training firearms course now, and I'm done with it. Is that sufficient? Do you think I can sit back and then say, all right, I know what I'm doing now. I'll think about doing another one in 10 years' time, or, for my 80th birthday or something. Or should I rather invest in more regular training to keep on upskilling myself the whole time?
Yeah, regular training is the only way to go. This is such a perishable skill. You lose it so quickly. A few years ago, I broke my leg. I was off my leg for 6 weeks. I dry fired as much as I possibly could, but you could see the difference in my shots. So it is so perishable, and I'm someone that shoots a lot. So this is a very perishable skill, and it's also I just want to touch on the fitness, but yeah, fitness is a thing. Getting used to your firearm, keeping your firearm up. You never know how long a fight's going to be. So yeah, it's a very perishable skill. It's something you have to continuously grow, continuously build, but then again, look back at what you've done. Start from the beginning again, because the more you learn, the more you know. The more you know, the more you know you don't know. And then from there, you just grow and grow.
So again, for me, it's back to the ego thing. Ego is the thing that makes you sit back and think, you can't teach me anything.
Yeah, exactly.
Which means you're not really teachable. And I personally think that there are some potential serious disadvantages to that kind of thinking. So you need to get your ego out the way and just get out there. Mix with the rest of the people who are also maybe a little bit antsy about doing something stupid on the range, and maybe somebody laughs at me, but they're all in the same boat. Everybody wants to learn.
Exactly.
That's crucial. And again, that's the mindset part, isn't it? It's how you think about this. It's how you approach this whole thing. You need to be willing and open and ready to learn. You need to be in a way of thinking that I want to know. I want to know my firearm so good.
Yeah, you want to be completely proficient with that firearm. It's like I said, it's an extension of your hand, basically. When my firearm goes into my hand, it's there, it's part of me. So it's something you have to practice and get used to and be comfortable with, because the more comfortable you are with your firearm, of course, following the 4 safety rules, as long as you follow the 4 safety rules, you'll be fine. Firearm is not a autonomous being that can just kill people like the Americans think. But yeah, it's something that you need to train and be comfortable with, because the day you need it, you can't then try and figure out how it works. It's going to be too late.
Can you maybe, in closure for this video, can you maybe just run through those 4?
So the 4 safety rules, the biggest, the most important one for me always is finger off the trigger. Because as long as the finger's off the trigger, the firearm's not going to fire. Like I always say, the firearms is a mechanical thing. It's either going to fail or it's going to function, and the trigger makes it function. And then you always need to know your target, what is beyond it. That's a big thing in South Africa. We can't just throw rounds down range and hit innocent people. You're responsible for those. And then, of course, you've got your finger off the trigger. You need to know your target, what is beyond it. You need to treat a firearm always as if it's loaded. You can't think, it might be loaded, might not be loaded, because that's one of those things that kind of just get to that point where it becomes a danger to yourself and everyone else. And then point it in a safe direction. If anything goes wrong with that firearm and it's pointed in a safe direction, then you're still fine. So yeah, don't point it at anything you're not willing to destroy. We've funny. Sorry, yes.
So you would agree if I say that a safe direction is not at your foot?
Yeah, not at your foot. So I wanted to say, we've had people that actually dry fire practice on TVs. We've heard stories about people that do that, and they've destroyed TVs. And so, it's not something you want to do. So a nice solid bullet stop. We're lucky in South Africa, got solid brick walls. So any corner where the floor and the wall meet, it's a nice spot to safely practice.
Okay. Francois, Thank you. That concludes this one. I will see you the next time. We've got a lot more to talk about. I look forward to it, and I thank you for your time. Have a good evening.
Thank you, Rian.
Cheers, bud. See you.